G'day everyone, it's Mark Sparvel here coming to you live, sort of, not from my usual place in Seattle, Washington State, Microsoft's headquarters, but curiously from a quarantine hotel in Sydney, Australia. So certainly a unique experience for me. I hope it's just as much fun for you. Now, if we're not already following one another on Twitter, why not? That's a bit sad. My Twitter handle is below. I'm constantly posting updates and information about technology, about emotional intelligence, and all sorts of other topics connected to education and education reform. I'm also the founder of a social and emotional learning group on Facebook. You can see the link down below. Come and join us. 8,700 people are busy there each and every day sharing best practice and next practice. When we think about Microsoft's commitment here to this topic around social and emotional learning, it stretches back in time to the very first version of the Education Transformation Framework, a model which we use across the globe to help institutions and systems to be able to engage in transformation. And it recognized way back in 2012 that the social and emotional learning dimension of the school was critical for that sustained success. In 2018, we partnered with McKinsey & Company Global Institute and published the Class of 2030 and Life Ready Learning, not college ready, not career ready, but life ready learning. And that was one of the places where social and emotional learning bubbled up as fundamental and not ornamental to success. Fast forwarding through, we worked with the Economist Intelligence Unit in 2019 to explore through emotion cognition in the age of AI, how were entire systems and countries addressing well-being, and we dug into some interesting information looking at, using the PISA data, who was progressing the fastest and was there any correlation with social and emotional learning approaches. You have to check the research to find the answer to that. All the way through to 2020 when we worked with New Pedagogies for Deep Learning and published Education Reimagined, which not surprisingly highlighted well-being, particularly emotional well-being, as being critical as schools began returning back to hybrid models, back to face-to-face schools, or simply dealing with the aftershock of 2020 within their schools and their communities. So, how are you feeling today? Hopefully you're feeling well. If you'd like to see an example of an emotion check-in built using Microsoft Forms, there's a link below, aka.ms/how are you feeling. Feel free to follow that link now or some other time and have a go at dropping in your response. I like to use a graphic organizer for emotions like the Mood Meter, which is from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence and Evidence and Research Based, because what this does is it provides a scaffold to do three things, which I think are really important in a check-in. It's nice to be asked, but you can turn it into learning by introducing a scaffold. The Mood Meter organizes emotions from unpleasant through to pleasant emotions. And then each quadrant is organized by low energy to high energy. So straight away, it's interesting. It gets you curious, therefore, that hyper or ecstatic are high energy positive emotions, whereas maybe pleasant and proud are positive emotions but lower energy. Because we can't be at this high level all of the time, and this notion that this agenda is all about everybody being happy all of the time just simply isn't true. All emotions matter, and all emotions serve a purpose. And at times, I've recorded this about 6 times now, and the last time when the power went out in the hotel room, I think I was certainly in the angry phase. Emotion literally means to be in motion. They're transient. So one of the benefits of doing check-ins with the students is that they can realize over time that emotions are in motion, that they fluctuate depending upon internal and external factors. And just because I'm feeling angry and disappointed right now, it doesn't mean I'll feel that way in an hour and maybe not tomorrow. So check-ins are good for 3 reasons. 1, develop emotional vocabulary. Number 2, support the ability to accurately identify and label emotions. This is kind of the granularity that's needed to become emotionally intelligent. And number 3, it invites emotion into the conversation. It invites emotion and recognizing and talking about and exploring how emotions are similar or different, or how combinations can come into play into the classroom as part of the valued learning. So let's talk about social and emotional learning. What is it? There's a number of ways that social and emotional learning happens, and it's simply the process for developing social and emotional skills. It can range from prescriptive programs which have lesson progressions through to whole school approaches on well-being, which include emotional well-being as well as physical well-being, maybe spiritual well-being into that mix. Tech can play a role in a focus on social and emotional learning. A great paper by World Economic Forum has a lot of information on that. I think it was called New Visions towards social and emotional learning approaches with technology, and called out a number of ways that we can make approaches intentional and not accidental when it comes to developing emotional vocabulary, giving feedback around social and emotional skills, providing opportunities to practice and rehearse social and emotional skills. But what are these skills? The Collaborative for Academic Social and Emotional Learning identified 5 competencies which contain a collection of specific social and emotional skills. So responsible decision making, that's that ability to make good choices about your behaviour and about your interactions with others. Relationship skills, that's that ability to initiate and develop and sustain positive and productive relationships with others. Social awareness is that ability to be able to take others' perspectives, to demonstrate empathy. Self-management is that ability to regulate emotions, thoughts, and behaviours. Self-awareness is that ability to be able to recognize your own emotions and understand the links between emotion, thought, and behavior. If we look at the big reasons why social and emotional learning matters so much, there's a host of research, 20 years plus of empirical evidence which identifies a clear link between a focus on social and emotional learning and lifelong benefits in work, in civic participation, in social life, and indeed subjective well-being, which is a fancy way of saying happiness. But these benefits stretch across decades. The longest research I read tracked thousands of Britons from kindergarten through to their 40s to look at the impact of programs focused on social and emotional learning, and came back with a number of consistent benefits across time. So some other benefits, and all this data is available to you. A focus on social and emotional learning can obviously reduce mental health issues, including depression, can raise achievement tests up to 3 years, can improve social and emotional skills, and reduce antisocial behaviours or unhelpful behaviours. In a nutshell, maximise the potential that learners have, and to minimise the debilitating stresses, the impact of those stresses that can have on them. And this is important when we look at what's happened across 2020 and then consider that into 2021. The increased uncertainty resulting from the economic, the humanitarian, and public health crisis that had education jammed right in the centre is going to ripple out over the next 3 years, and it will impact those who are at greatest risk, and it will impact those who do not have social and emotional skills to be able to deal with complexity, change, ambiguity, stress, and uncertainty. But before COVID, before 2020, there's been this increasing global demand for social and emotional learning approaches, with mental health being placed in the spotlight, with the World Health Organization identifying depression as the #1 global disability. And when we look at students, 1 in 5 young people have a mental health issue. And that's not just US data, although that one was from the US. Also noting, had an economic cost, $247 billion spent each year on treatment and management of childhood mental health disorders. If you look to the UK, for example, 20% of adolescents, again 1 in 5, may experience mental health issues at any one point in any given year. 50% of mental health problems are established by age 14 and 75% by the age of 24. So significant statistics there. If we change gears and have a look at how does this play out into the future of work, what are the implications here? I'm going to pop some data up on the screen. One of the things that McKinsey and Company found in their study done in April 2020 was that across 2016 to 2020, there's been a reduction in certain types of work: physical manual skills, basic cognitive skills, repetitive and predictable work. And there's been an increase in higher cognitive skills, if you like, synthesis, analysis, ideation, creation, a significant jump in social and emotional skills, and a significant jump in technical skills for the digital economy. If you like, these are the new future-ready skills, not just technical skills, but this blend of higher cognitive, social and emotional, and technical skills. So here's some interesting stuff on some missing skills. Now over to the right, HR professionals were asked to identify missing skills right now in the workforce, and they called out problem solving, they called out the ability to deal with complexity and ambiguity, they called out the ability to communicate effectively in a range of modes. Over on the left-hand side of the screen, these characteristics were identified by the Education Endowment Fund with some research in the UK. These were the skills and dispositions that young people had which allowed them to be successful across 2020. And what I thought was really interesting was that there was this clear connection, that these were almost exactly the same. So the very skills and dispositions young people needed to be successful across 2020 were exactly the same set of skills that HR professionals across the globe said were currently missing in the workplace. It was almost like 2020, apart from all of the disruption and the trauma and the terrible things, has also, in a sense, placed education in an accelerator. So let's have a look at how technology can help with this agenda, because one of the big questions is, well, how do you develop social and emotional skills, and how can technology help? You can develop social and emotional skills by a number of ways. Develop an emotional vocabulary is one. Another one is to provide accurate and timely feedback. Another one is to provide opportunities to practice and rehearse social and emotional skills. Another one is to provide opportunities for students to learn in social ways. So let's have a look at some examples of technology allowing just that to happen. The first one is to get social. Social learning is certainly not a new way of learning. In fact, social and collaborative learning might be one of humankind's oldest forms of learning. At its essence, social learning is just this continuous process of learning from other people. You know, we're learning socially when we observe others, when we ask questions, when we share knowledge. And video is a really critical and powerful social learning tool. And Flipgrid is where social and emotional learning can happen. You can go to the Flipgrid site and dig up a cell-featured collection in the Flipgrid Discovery Library. But Flipgrid is a really powerful opportunity for students because they can contribute 24/7. They can rehearse. Voice is captured and shared beyond the classroom, and with built-in read aloud, it provides a truly accessible experience for social learning. Next one, enjoy epic group work. Being able to work in a group setting is a really critical skill. Students learn how to negotiate with others when they co-play, develop leadership skills, and also develop an understanding of their own strengths and the areas that maybe they need to work on. This is all to the purpose of them being able to contribute as part of a team. The World Economic Forum in their research called out sandbox environments like Minecraft as being really important for developing social and emotional skills because they incorporate several strategies, and success requires students to be resourceful, to take initiative to secure essential elements, and to do that together. Personalizing feedback in a number of tools. You can see on the screen, this example was using Teams. This gives students recognition, and it could seem trivial and whimsical, but learning is a social activity and emotions are the gatekeepers to motivation, cognition, and attention. And it's a basic human need to be seen, to be heard, and to feel that you matter. And where educators are using feedback tools which bring in delight and whimsy and fun, for goodness sake, students respond well to that. They feel like they're there and they matter. A picture is indeed worth 1,000 words. So example over here on the right in Teams is you can see two features. One is coming up in a moment, which is using the praise feature within Teams to give feedback, and the other is using the sticker packs, and a little bit more information on those coming up. Being an emotional detective is really important as opposed to being an emotion judge. And there's a number of built-in tools which can be used to help students develop that granularity and to be able to detect emotions and the difference between the two. There's some examples of a lesson idea that I've put together on the screen. Grab an emotion word list like you've seen today in Mood Meter or from Enchanted Learning, or generate one with your class, and then drop it into OneNote online and use tools like Immersive Reader to syllabify, to translate, use Picture Dictionary to have a look at those words, how they sound, how they feel, and how they're represented, or use one of our tools to simply build your own. These are exciting. Recognise and reward. In the Class of 2030 research, students said that they just didn't feel they were getting enough feedback around social and emotional skills. So this sticker pack that you can see is available in Microsoft Whiteboard. It's also available in OneNote. You can get it now in OneNote online, and it's a specific social and emotional learning sticker set. And it's built around the Big Five, which is a globally recognized framework for character development. It's also used by the OECD as part of their assessment program of social and emotional skills. So rather than providing a sticker that says nice or well done, you can provide a sticker which aligns to character traits, which calls out specific social and emotional skills, which collectively over time will give students feedback and will also give teachers insight around how the students are developing in terms of social and emotional skills. Now, we've looked at one version of a check-in using Microsoft Forms in this session. Another more automated approach is using Reflect, which is a messaging extension. It's available on GitHub, on open source, and it allows you to set up and establish a regular cadence of emotion check-ins with that data flowing back through into your collected data that you have sitting underneath that. So asking students, at a set time, it might be every Monday morning, or it might be at the end of the week, hey, how are you feeling about the week? Or how are you feeling about the week ahead? Or how are you feeling about the assignment? It provides prompts with ready-made responses for students to simply click and provide information and a response, and then that adds over time to the collection of information. And this is the important thing with check-ins, is that over time you start to get this data for both the individual but also for the class and indeed the school. How are we feeling? And last few places, opportunities to learn. So we partner with amazing groups like we.org, we places like Headspace, Yale and others, and develop assets and resources. So some ideas on the screen here are courses that have been built, available on the Microsoft Education Center. Plus we also have specific resource pages built on social and emotional learning. The top 10 cell ideas, which is constantly being added to, is available there, aka.ms cell top 10. Plus also join the community on Facebook and share ideas. And of course, resource page is constantly being updated with useful links and ideas that you can take and use. And the research itself, really important, is on the screen right here, and you can grab the resource and the research behind the resources. So thanks everyone. Consider this to be an introduction and an invitation. The introduction is to obviously Microsoft's commitment to social and emotional learning, and the invitation is to follow up with me to find out more. Thank you.